Welcome back to Gold Derby. I'm Christopher Rosen. I'm joined by Joyce. Joyce, it's our mid-season Emmys finale.
Until what, December, January?
I
mean,
guess.
TV shows usually just come back in January, mid-season. So
So maybe January.
that'll be a busy week because the first week we would have to do Globe predictions and creative arts.
Yeah, and who knows? We're gonna end it on it's a cliffhanger. Who knows?
Do we actually have a cliffhanger planned? I don't think we do.
I don't think so. No. Yeah, this is our last Emmys episode for months. So we're gonna shift into the Oscars race next week. Because the Emmys are delayed until January. I don't know if people realize this. Just kidding.
Well, in another universe, right now we would be doing our creative arts predictions for this.
I was thinking that, yeah. Now we're not doing anything. We're gonna go through.
I mean, I haven't even looked at my creative arts prediction. Should I look at that right now?
Want to start there?
We
can even talk about this.
We can
I don't want to really update anything though.
Me either. I mean, I made about like the guest categories.
Maybe I'll just save through. A great trick is if you just click save, it makes it look like
yeah. I'll do that. Look, the last time I touched this was July 20th.
Mine was August 20th, so I'll do that too. I'm gonna do that later. We also got we can go through our prime times as well, so that'll be great. Joyce, we have a lot of emails, and we have a lot of close races here to talk about for the Emmys, and then we're not going to think about them again.
Well, voting is over, obviously, so the votes have probably already been tabulated.
The winners are the whoever tabulated votes knows the winner.
Yeah, like 3 people know the winners right now.
Somebody watching this could know.
Yeah. Will they leak before January 15th?
I don't think they will. I honestly don't think they will because I don't think there's a real urge to.
You just need someone to like hack the system.
If somebody hacks the system, yes, but I don't think there's anybody on the inside who's like, we got to leak the Emmy winners.
No, but it's just like someone like once like they start like planning stuff, like some people, have to share intel, and then some people can't keep it on the DL. I'm
very excited to see how this plays out from a show standpoint. We're assuming that the strikes will be over by January, maybe. And if they are, there's going to be a lot of things in production in January, seemingly, because we're going to start it up.
Well, they would still like build in the breaks for.
You think they would build
in the normal year, like they take breaks, for the Globes and everything, and
so you think people still, even though they're coming off a strike, you think they'll be like
going to an award show? Yeah.
Okay. I will see we'll see. I wonder how the attendance will be. I guess that's what I'm trying to figure out.
I mean, this is what people were saying last year when the Globes were back on TV and people went.
Yeah, that's true. Not everyone, but some people did.
Went. It was well attended.
It was well attended. I guess we'll see. So you want to do? I mean, want to talk? We were talking before this about close races. We have so many emails. I feel like we should maybe read some of those to get into these, but some of them are not about these categories.
We could just save those at the end. It's fine
for the emails. Yeah. Comedy series, Joyce, remains pretty tight, you said. Ted's still in first, but
in like the overall odds, Ted is first, but the Bear actually has more first place predictions than Ted by 7 at this point on September 6th at 11 a.m. Eastern.
Still don't see it. I still think Ted is going to win.
Yeah, same.
We'll talk about this in later. But when I was at Telluride this past weekend, TV was not a hot topic, but there was conversations about some of these shows, and people were like, "Oh man, the Bear." But I'm like, I think the industry maybe likes the Bear, but I think Emmy voters who are just like Emmy voters who like Ted Lasso still like Ted Lasso. I'm like not ready to move it at all.
Well, I mean, like Academy members are the industry. I think like the industry does love the Bear, but I think Ted is still like the consensus.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's still like it got more nominations this year than it ever has for a very, very, very uneven season. And I think people do love the Bear, but it's not even like it's like a drama thing. I just think like Ted is so big. It's gonna take a lot to bring it down. And I think to win series, you do just need that like broad support, like that consensus. And I think Ted has that. So
We were also like, we kind of, at least I did. I think you probably did too. That like you've said, the season of Ted is moments, not a show.
yeah.
And I think as you get further away from the season, the thing that remains are the moments, not the show. So I think even people who were like spotty on the season are probably like, man, I did like that, and that was pretty cool. Oh, I love that scene with Phil, or whatever. And like all of a sudden, the show remains in your memory like stronger than it really was as you were watching it week by week.
But I think like, if you've liked the show from the beginning, chances are you still, or like, I think like voters, chances are like most of them still like it now. I don't think they're as critical of the show as like we are, and like the general public, and like Twitter is, and just the internet in general. Like I don't think they are, they take like that close an eye to it, and like they just kind of enjoy these characters. And yeah, so, and then there's like, if they do think like it is the last season and it's like, oh, I'll just vote for it one more time. I mean, I don't know like if there's anything that would make me switch to the Bear. I mean, like, I'm not gonna think about this again until January, but
I'm not going to switch to the Bear. And
I guess like maybe if like the Bear wins casting, but I don't know. I still have jury duty winning casting.
Yeah, same. There's a category later we'll talk about because there's an email about it, Joyce. But I think there's one place where Ted versus the Bear, I think I could see myself switching, but not in series. Comedy actress, we've talked about a lot. I'm still like throwing my hands up in the air about this one, but I have Christina Applegate winning. Sure. I guess I finally switched to her. I don't even remember doing this.
You did this like 2 weeks ago.
So seems right. Why not? I don't know.
As a lone nominee.
I mean, it would be crazy, but like the other nominees here are not strong, I don't think, or have reasons to think they're not strong.
I mean, it's just, how far ahead is Quinta?
Let me see.
The odds. Like, she's still in first, and Rachel is still right behind her.
Right.
So.
And she's pretty comfortably ahead in first.
Yeah.
But I will say, in another category, a person who is comfortably ahead in first is Tyler James Williams for Abbott. And so we have him in, I think, Colette, you and I have him in sixth.
I do. And then the person in sixth in the odds is Phil Dunster, who I have in third.
So I get the sense that, no disrespect to anybody on the Abbott show, which is a good show. We've talked about this a lot. Like, it's very watchable. It's a very good show. I enjoy watching it. I'd recommend it to everybody. I think there's more in predictions. I think it's maybe over predicted based on how it has performed. So I think Quinta might be a front runner, and certainly is like an obvious pick because Abbott is, in theory, a strong show and whatever. But I'm not sure that her vote totals and lead over Rachel and Christina Applegate is necessarily indicative of what it is.
Right. Like, I think it makes sense if you're just like a casual observer of the Emmys.
Yes.
Right. And like, you don't follow this stuff closely. You don't notice that Abbott is like missing writing and directing. It doesn't matter here because only actors are voting for the acting winners. But like, I think there is this kind of general perception that Abbott is really strong because of how it performed last year, and it won 3 Emmys, and she won for writing last year. And now like Jean Smart is out of the way, so she could win. Like, people were predicting her to win last year, like, to beat Jean.
Yes.
And then she obviously won the Globe in January. So I think, yeah, if you're like a casual, it like seems right. Like, and like Abbott is clearly like the show that, I wouldn't say it's not stronger than Wednesday, but it's been already embraced by the Emmys. Right. So it like everything like looks right on paper for her to win.
Yes.
So, but yeah, I don't know if there's like enough passion for her to win. Like, you pick one person, it's not ranked or anything. So
I mean, that's why I put Christina up there, because I just think she'll have a lot of passion even as a lone nominee.
I think like the show is, the last season premiered in November, and like no one's talked about it since.
No, I don't. I mean, I definitely don't disagree.
I mean,
think,
like she's just basically just like it's like her personal narrative,
yes,
but I don't know how much that's gonna carry her either.
maybe not, but I'll put money on the personal narrative. I feel like, to me it seems strong. Anything else? I'm trying to think of what else I shifted here. I still, in drama, I didn't make really any changes at all. I still have Ray winning for Better Call Saul.
What do you have in directing? Do you still have Connor's Wedding?
Yes, I do. Do
I
you?
still have it too, but I don't, as you know, I don't feel great about it because it's the triple vote split situation.
So I will say this means nothing, certainly. But of the 3 Succession nominee directors, I've talked to 2, and I did not talk to Mark Mylod.
So why are you predicting him?
Well, I'm going to predict him because I think he deserves to win. But
That's
I'm just
so
saying,
unlike
like,
you.
it's possible. I don't know what that means even. That's just a data point to throw out there. If he didn't win, what would you have winning then? Last of Us is second.
It would be like the series runner up, because that's what happens in triple vote split situations, and I think that is the White Lotus.
I agree. In our odds, it's not. Last of Us is second, and White Lotus
I think
is
because
third,
people just really, really like that episode.
I think so too. I think the one thing that has, I guess it doesn't. We were saying this last year when I was trying to predict the vote split between Dope Sick and White Lotus, that Mike White's more of a writer than a director, and then he won both.
No.
So I don't think it really matters. I think like he could easily win here, Mike White. And I think you could definitely see a vote split on the Succession ones. I guess, like we said, the argument against that is that it's less of a vote split than you would think, because while everyone is wrong, I think Living Plus is like not considered a top tier Succession episode. And so I don't think
it's like last, almost like maybe above Bad Sisters.
It's actually in the odds, it's somehow like third to last. Bad Sisters and Andor like bottom for us, it seems. But I think that is a great episode, but I don't think people necessarily agree with that. So I think Lorene is not necessarily a real threat. So then it's between America Decides and Andre Perec and Mark Mylod for Connor's Wedding. I mean, America Decides is pretty great. So that might make it tough. And then maybe Mike White wins for White Lotus.
Yeah, like last year when I had triple nominees here, I never predicted Succession to win. I was like, it's not happening. And I think last year the 3 were much more, they were more closely competitive than it is this year, where it's like very obvious that Connor's Wedding is the standout episode of the season that everyone remembers and talks about. Like it's just, it's like a household name, that the episode title. It's like one of those, it's like Whitecaps, like you say and you know what that episode is, like The Suitcase, Ozymandias.
Yes.
Like you just know what that episode is. So I think it has to, it would be the first one to overcome a triple vote split in directing under this system. I think it can do it. I don't even think like what happened with Watchmen was the same either, because it had I think it had like the black and white episode and then like the premiere episode, the Tulsa riots. So I think like that was more closely competitive that year, and an Orthodox one, right? So I don't know, I think yes, tier wise, it would be Connor's Wedding, America Decides, and Living Plus, but I don't know how much chase America Decides would be giving Connor's Wedding.
I guess the argument for it is that Andre already won for Succession, right? So he's like
he pulled off the upset when everyone thought Mark would win for season 2 finale, and then Hunting won instead. So
he's already in theory a known quantity among the voters. And that episode, I think there was a great.
Well, that's also do they know he directed it too? It's
I mean, maybe I would say yes. I think they probably would, but also from a technical standpoint, while we've talked obviously the narrative of Connor's Wedding with the unbroken take or whatever, and they did it many times and it's 20 minutes and all these things, I think that the technical feat of doing America Decides is actually maybe stronger, because they had to do 2 episodes at the same time, because they had to shoot it's, you don't even notice it really, or if you're a casual viewer, they're made a whole election night show basically, and then also did an episode on top of it and had to do it in a very short amount of time. So I think there is a degree of difficulty thing that at least is on par with Connor's Wedding, but like you said, it is the most famous episode, so maybe that doesn't matter.
And obviously that's the one, you know, they're banking on. Like Mark has been doing interviews since it aired in April.
I guess also if you're like to more, I don't even believe this, but just to float more of like a vote split concept between these two, and a reason to go with White Lotus maybe would be like, maybe because they've been hammered with Connor's Wedding, and because it's like the real lone representative in so many other categories for Succession, right? Like if you're not a super fan of that episode, you might be like, oh, thank God I could vote for something else. Like, even though I love Succession, I'm gonna vote for America Decides because I just like that episode maybe more than Connor's Wedding. And I haven't had the chance to do that in these other categories where Connor's Wedding is like represented all over the place. Yeah, I don't know. I think you could,
well, I mean, like I think that would be, there's a higher chance of that happening if everyone were voting, but it's just directors and like they're lazy. Like we know this.
Yeah.
So I think it's true that like they are voting for what they like, and like that's how we got, you know, Hunting winning instead of This Is Not for Tears.
So it's possible that they like America Decides more.
Like maybe. So but I think, yeah, I mean, like that year is also kind of like more on par with season 3, where it's like there wasn't one like really clear, obvious like front runner, and like This Is Not for Tears was just being predicted because it was the finale, right. You know, like that was but like Hunting had 4 on the floor, and it was like, you know, it's like that was a flashy sequence too. So
if I was like, I mean, as card carrying members of the Succession fan club, if you ask me which one I want to watch again, it's America Decides. I think it's like just much more watchable than Connor's Wedding for a host of reasons. I'm not saying it's better, but I just think it's like more of an enjoyable watch. So I wonder if that I'm still going to predict Connor's Wedding, but I think it's closer between that and America Decides than maybe people expect. And I do think that would open the door for Mike White to win over Last of Us, because I just think White Lotus is the series runner up.
That's hilarious, because I mean I do agree it's very rewatchable, American Decides, but just remember like all the tweets the night it aired when people are like, I can never watch this again. It's like, yeah, too real. I'm like, it's TV, guys.
That's like
I know it's like,
that's a little overwrought.
Yeah,
I would say that's a little overwrought. It's so fun, and it's so like, it's so tense, but it's like a great ride. It's almost like the Uncut Gems episode of Succession that we might take.
People get like so easily like overly anxious about things. Like it's like the Fishes episode of The Bear, and I'm just like people were like, I know someone who had to take a 1-week break after Fishes before they watched Forks. Wow. And I'm like, I went straight into Forks. I'm like, that was cool. Next, like play. And but I'm like have none of you guys ever been in like, you know, dysfunctional family dinners before? Like lots of yelling? Like that didn't make me anxious. Like, I mean, it's like, you know, totally fine if it made you anxious, but I'm just like, I don't need to take like a breather on these things. I'm like, it's just TV. Like,
how about limited series directing, Joyce? That's another really tough one.
I actually just changed that to Beef. I had Fleischman.
Mm-hmm.
And I did The Great Fabricator, Jake Fryer, not Figures of Light, which I think is still in first in the odds.
I think so. Let me look. Hang on.
Right.
Yes. Pretty well ahead. I think people just being like, it's the finale.
Yeah. And like Leasington, right? But I went with The Great Fabricator, just going by you know, the Succession corollary, and also like the Crown corollary, when people were predicting the finale to win and then the other episode wins.
I think that makes sense. Also, like we've talked about from a directing standpoint, the penultimate episode is a little flashier than the finale.
It's very action packed.
I have Paris Barclay winning for Monster, and I have Dan Trachtenberg for Prey all the way up in second.
I mean, I thought about him a lot. I don't know if I will ever go to him.
I guess the thinking for me was Monster's second in the odds behind. It's sandwiching. The Beef is sandwiching Monster. So it's like, I don't know, what is that kind of? It's like a reverse sandwich, I guess, right? Because Beef would be in the middle if it was like a sandwich. And the reason I have that winning is because I think that the Beef ones are very close. Because I think Great Fabricator is probably an easier one to win, like you're suggesting. But I do think because it's the finale and because Lee Sung-jin directed it and is the creator of the show, that Figures of Light will have a lot of support as well. And I think there's not enough distance between those two that I think Monster could win. So I put Prey in second because I do think like that would be awesome. They clearly liked Prey, and it's like a really good, well-directed thriller. So I think there's a world where it could win, but it would be so shocking to me if it actually won. That's why I want Monster.
Yeah, it would be a very cool winner, but I don't really think it would happen. So, and then like the other Monster episode is basically like Living Plus here, where it's just like
Yes.
they're not really in this.
I don't think
So
think
like,
even
which
though it's
like
Carl
also
Franklin,
helps
right.
Paris.
Right.
And Paris also hasn't won, I think, since '99.
He hasn't won in a long time, and I think he's obviously been out there like in the interviews that I've seen him do.
Yeah, and this is their best episode, Silenced.
And so I think even though the show maybe is not as strong as we thought, or maybe as it was expected, because I think we both agree it left nominations elsewhere on the table. I do think it could win here, because of Paris. But obviously, Beef, you can't go wrong with one of those because they're the favorites. Though I think Prey would be a great winner. I just can't predict.
Where do you have your fave, Fleischman?
I have Fleischman now, and because of I have Fleischman in fifth. But I think it's really close. I think fifth in this category is like, this reminds me a little bit of like comedy supporting actor, where it goes like almost all the way down to where any of the people in this category could legitimately win. I think the only person who sadly for them cannot win is like Carl Franklin for the other Monster episode. But if any of these other 5 won, I would really not be that surprised, I guess.
Yeah.
Like I don't think Fleischman is going to win, but if it won, would you be shocked? Like,
no, and I had Fleischman since Noms mostly because I couldn't choose between the Beefs, and then I had to move on to the next category.
And then so writing, Beef is well out in front. I just
think have Fleischman?
I do. I just think Fleischman could win here. I really, really do. I think that the fact that it was overperformed again, arguably, you could say maybe it left a nomination on the table, right, with like Jesse or something. But I mean, it was like a very strong performer. And I think the Taffy is like a well-known quantity as a writer. And while Beef is also a great achievement, I think there is elsewhere, like Lee Sung-jin will still win when the show wins, right? He's at 3 nominations individual, like for producing, for writing, and directing. So it's not like he's not going to win an Emmy for Beef, which we all think will steamroll to series. So I don't know. It's not like and I think they liked Fleischman and maybe it would win here, but obviously.
How many people do you think do that calculus? Like, let's say you're in the writing branch and like you,
if
I
know
like that, like, well, like you can't vote in directing, but you can vote in programs. So you can vote for Lee Sung-jin twice.
If I liked both of these shows, I would say, if it was me voting, I would say B for series, because I think as an achievement, largely it was great and I could see it winning. And I would split off because I don't necessarily need to give it the writing win also. And I think if I equally like both these shows and I was voting as a writer, I would say Fleischman is the more writing achievement because of like the way it's structured and the way it tells its narrative, and it's much more complicated and adapting a book that was tricky to adapt maybe, and like all these different things I think that would go into it would make me think that it's more of a writing achievement, even if it's not the best show, and I would vote for a B for it. So I would do that, but I don't think people do that. Maybe
I would vote for Fleischman in writing just because I think it's the better script,
right?
And and then in series, I would vote for Beef in series, but I'm not doing that because I want to vote for each of them in something, you know? Like, it's just, I think like I agree, like I think Beef like overall is like a better show than Fleischman. But I think in that writing category, Me Time is a better script.
Right.
So
I don't know. I'm trying to think what else.
I have Beef.
Yeah. I mean, everybody has Beef, so it's not like I'm sure it'll win, and I'll just be like, this still lost. The other one I wanted to switch was Niecy Nash-Betts and Claire Danes. I
still have Claire, and I feel like that might just be where Fleischman wins its award.
And I'm going to switch to Niecy because I just think like she's the people's choice.
I mean, I think it's between the two of them, although you know how much I would love to see Merritt Weaver win. She wins every 5 years.
I have her in third.
Same. Yeah.
I just think while we all agree that Claire rolls and would be a great winner. I'm also like, I just think Niecy's got like the momentum, maybe, or whatever perceived momentum there is. And people, I mean, like, so I don't know.
What was the momentum during voting?
I don't know. I don't even know. Was there momentum for any of them during voting? I don't think so. But I think people like the idea of Niecy winning. And obviously she's
I mean, I definitely think the internet likes the idea
Yeah.
of Niecy winning, especially because Claire already has 3 Emmys.
right. I guess
So,
an argument
again,
against
I don't
Claire,
know if like the voters think or care about that. So
I mean, an argument against Claire is that she's playing a quote, in air quotes here, difficult woman.
yeah, but this is her episode. Like
Right.
it's clear like they made it through the show and they saw me time.
They still might not like her after me time though.
No, but like you understand them. I don't think you need to like characters.
Okay.
I just you need to understand characters. And
I don't disagree. I'm just saying we know that they have issues here with like women who have a strong POV usually.
right. Yeah, but I think like what she does in episode is very cathartic.
Right.
When you're watching it, regardless of what you think of Rachel.
Yeah, I guess that could be true.
I think she does something we all want to do.
Yeah, that's fair. That's a good reframe. I like that. Because we have so many Emmy questions. This is our last run. If
you should save the best question for, so that will be our cliffhanger, even though it's not a cliffhanger.
I guess we'll see. I'll see what we got. We also have a ton of Oscar questions. We'll get to them next week, I guess. And if you want to write more about the Oscars,
like there's like TIFF this weekend,
Yeah.
so come on.
we're gonna definitely do the Oscars starting next week, and email us those at slugfest@goldderby.com. This one is from Reese though. Joyce
Witherspoon?
No.
Oh, sad.
Maybe. Could be a burner. Reese, if you're watching, I watched the first few episodes of the morning show season 3.
Is it like at Hello Sunshine?
It's not at Hello Sunshine.
I haven't watched the morning show yet. I'm
Joyce,
like, obviously I'm still watching the US Open, so I can't get to any TV until that's over.
I gotta say, what an entertaining
how is my guy John Hamm?
He's playing Elon Musk by way of an Apple commercial.
Incredible. How funny is he? Because I need him to do more comedy. That's always
it's not super funny yet. It's funny. I think it's funny because it's like it's funny.
Because
it's
like the
funny.
show itself is funny because it's not actually trying to be funny.
Yeah. I mean a little bit.
Yeah.
So here's Reese. Howdy, Joyce and Chris. I'm a longtime listener, but I finally worked up the courage to email you two. Reese, you can always email us. It's great. Thanks for being a staple in my weekly routine. And as a Ray Seahorn Emmy truther, special thanks to Joyce for reining in my Better Call Saul awards delusions whenever I need a reality check, which is very often. I've seen a lot of people online proposing solutions for the purported genre category fraud with shows like The Bear, White Lotus, and Barry. Regardless of your thoughts on which shows are actually committing genre fraud, could you actually envision the TV Academy making any rule changes or reworking the categories because of this? And what would that look like? Is this a problem significant enough to warrant a solution, or have I just stumbled into my own personal online echo chamber? My personal take is that it's a bit silly and impractical to have separate dramedy categories, which is what a lot of people seem to be calling for, but I wouldn't mind some tweaks. I'd love to hear your thoughts. I feel like we get one of these every week, Joyce. What do you think of this one, though?
So basically, like, should we eradicate drama and comedy?
Or is she saying, like, I think one of the things is that,
or like have rules for like what can compete where?
Or how about this? Is it even worth this? Like, is this something that is very online, and do people actually not care about this?
It is definitely very online and very like the awards nuts are like basically the only people who care about this.
I don't, it doesn't bother me, honestly.
It doesn't bother me. I don't care about
understand
category fraud. I don't care about genre fraud.
No,
like
it doesn't really feel like anything. I think it's like their catch-all, it's like the broadest of all possible catch-all terms for shows to give you a little more breathing room to nominate more shows in different categories. That's how I view it.
Right. And also, like, back in the day when the Emmys started, it was like a lot more clear because it was like, situational comedy, like the comedies, right? So it was like clearly a sitcom, the format, very distinct. And then you had your dramas. It was like very clear. And now like the lines are murkier and they blend more. So I understand, I do think The Bear is a drama, but do I care that isn't comedy? No, because also they're not breaking any rules. Like they're just taking advantage of it. So more power to FX.
I don't necessarily think I don't think it matters as much to me too, because I'm like, you're still voting for the shows on their merits, right? Or your personal taste, I guess.
Yeah, like whatever you like the most.
You can then while Jeremy Allen White versus like Jason Sudeikis or The Bear versus Ted Lasso might seem like silly, but you're still there's still shows you're voting on their merits and whether you like them more. Now, The Bear, maybe you like The Bear more or the Ted more, but it doesn't really matter that one's a comedy, one's a drama. I don't think like you're getting extra points. I think there's an implied thing here with like the drama is sneaking into comedy, that they're like better inherently because they're dramas, because dramas are more serious. But I'm like, I really don't think people care. And also like comedy's just as hard. So it doesn't really matter to
comedy's
me.
harder than drama.
Right. So it doesn't really matter to me that they're competing against each other. And I don't think The Bear has like an unfair advantage because it's a drama competing with comedies, because comedies are also good and they should be able to compete with anything, right? Like when you watch shows, you're not like, well, I like The Bear more than Ted Lasso because The Bear is a drama and Ted Lasso is a comedy. You're going to be like, I like The Bear more than Ted Lasso because it's a better show, maybe.
Yeah, and then when you're like choosing things to watch, it's just like you're not like, I can't watch The Bear right now because like it's a drama, right?
Yeah.
It's like I think like, when you check out shows, like, you go by like recommendations or something, or maybe you're like reading reviews and then you're like, I'll check it out. But then you don't like, when you complete it, you're not like, well, I just like logged off another comedy here. Now I need to like switch genres. But I also think like, awards are just like, they're so unserious, like truly, because it's like, you're just depending on other people voting for you for reasons, and it could be whatever reasons the voter wants it to be. It could just be like, you didn't shake their hand one time, so they're not going to vote for you, right? Or you're not friends with them, they're not going to vote for you. It might not be on merit at all. And then like everyone has different tastes, so they might not like your performance, your show, whatever, so they're going to vote for something else that they like more. Totally fine, everyone can do whatever they want. And like everyone has a different checkpoint for what they vote for. So it's like does like, how funny someone is matter to you when you're voting, when you're trying to choose between Jeremy Allen White and Jason Sudeikis, right? Like if it does, then maybe you can say like, I'm gonna vote for Jason because I think he was funnier.
Right.
But then some people might say like, actually, I thought Jeremy was way funnier in The Bear than Jason was on Ted Lasso. So
Reese, thanks for writing. You can always write us back. Let's see, this one, I think we did this one already, so sorry. Let's see. This one's from our old friend Faisal, who's written in before. Dear Chris and Joyce, haven't emailed in a while, but motivated by your pleas for more listener questions as of late. So here are some essays to make up for lost time. Thank you, Faisal.
Oh my gosh.
So hilarious here is we have, this is going to be, this is for Emmys 2024 part 2, he writes, Joyce. I've been asking a lot about Meryl Streep, but now having seen Only Murders season 3, and you guys have seen up to episode 8, could she not only get nominated but potentially win supporting actress? Season 3 opening scene as well as Look for the Light number are truly incredible, and I think this role is really allowing her to not only play to her strengths dramatically, but to show a new side to her, which I think voters might be excited to vote for. At the same time, what I appreciate about the performance is that it is very mature and nuanced in its depiction of a struggling actor. She never feels like the butt of a joke, rather always ahead of it in a sense. Also, it helps that she's playing an actor, and you know how actors feel about anything pays homage to their trade if done right, which this definitely is. That's the first part of this essay. I agree with everything Faisal just said there.
Same. Yeah, we talked about this, I guess, a month ago now when it premiered, and how great she was, like predictably great, but also I think surprisingly, like in like what he's saying, like the elements of that character and the nuances in her performance and how they're writing to Loretta, and then the whole relationship with Loretta and Oliver too. Like I really, what episode was this week? Was it's on Tuesdays, right? It's already aired this week?
I think so, yeah.
What are they up
Unfortunately,
to?
I'm not watching it in real time.
I know, I don't watch it live. So this week was 6. Oh, so this was the theater episode. I don't think she's in this one. This is when they go to the theater. This is with Stephen the Fish.
Yep.
Yeah.
I don't think she's in this one either.
Yeah, but is she back in? She's definitely in 8.
She's definitely in 8. I think she's in 7 too.
Yeah, I think she's in 7. But she has a great final moment in 8.
Yes.
Too.
It's a great performance. Look for the Light, I think, is so great also. It's just a great song. And like the performance is so good. I love Ashley Park in that scene also. It's like really well done. Faisal continues here talking about this year's Emmys then, and more Meryl. I think if Io Edeberry wins, or Edeberry wins for the first 2024 Emmys in supporting actress, that will take the air out of Cheryl's chances if Abbott is even ready in time for season 3. I only see Cheryl's type of performance winning once or in successive years. Once voters move on, I don't think they will get back to her, which could potentially leave the door open for Meryl to win the Emmys in 2024 round 2. That assumes Io doesn't win again, which I don't think is a wild possibility alongside Jeremy White, potentially losing for season 2, maybe Martin Short, or is that too crazy for actor? Basil really going nuts here.
Or Only Murder is going to dominate 2024.
I would say I think Meryl is a very strong contender to win, but I would be shocked if the show all of a sudden became an Emmy darling in 24, even with a lack of competition, I guess. Like, I think Jeremy's still safe bet to win for season 2 of The Bear.
Yeah, I guess I would just say Martin would be in second.
I think Martin certainly would be in second.
And yeah, I think Meryl can win. Like I never thought she was going to win for Big Little Lies. I guess that's like the closest comp in this situation here, but I also don't think season 2 of Big Little Lies was successful. Whereas like, you know, season 3 of Only Murders is. So I think she can win next year, especially with the field clearing out. You know, I mean, like the longer the strikes go on, the chances of Abbott returning, even with 6 episodes, is decreasing. So, and you know, you could bang out comedies, especially, you know, 22-minute comedies quicker than you can do dramas. So
if the strikes end like in October, end of September,
they can do, if it ends like October, they can definitely get into production by January, and then they could get out like 6 episodes. But if it's like end of the year, nothing, like
then it's gonna be gone.
Rough. Like it's also hard because of the timing of the strikes this time as opposed to last time, because last time it started in November 2007. So like seasons were already in production. They had scripts done, you know, episodes broken on the whiteboard. So once the strike was over, they could just pick up again. And like some episodes that were already edited, like still aired, but the writer's strike started in May, and that's normally when writers' rooms open.
Right.
And no writers' rooms open. So they have nothing planned at all.
I think they have some things planned. I wouldn't be surprised
like
if
maybe in their mind, but it's like, you know, like nothing has been filmed. Like that's the thing. Like
nothing has been filmed. I think they could get into production probably pretty quick on some of these shows, but nothing has been
like
filmed.
Comedies, they can definitely get into production a lot quicker than dramas. So, but I also agree about like what he said about Cheryl. I think we've talked about this before, or maybe I was saying like I feel like Janelle James's time has passed. No offense to her, but I felt like she, her best chance, the best time for her to win was last year, when like that's just a type of like breakout performance that would win like right off the bat, and it would be harder for her to win, and it would have made more sense for her to win last year and Cheryl to win this year.
I agree totally. I also think that, I think Janelle was funnier in season 1 than season 2. And so I could see, I think this category this year for 2024 part 1 is down to Io versus Hannah Waddingham. And I'm not sure they'll go back to Hannah Waddingham. And Io has remained like very public facing, even amid the strike, because she's just like got a lot of content out there, and that's great.
She went to Beyonce with,
I saw it, love it.
Yeah.
She's great in Bottoms. Did you see Bottoms yet, Joyce? It's so funny. No. Oh my God, it's so funny. So I'm like, I think she can, I still have her winning. If Hannah won, I would not be surprised. But if Io doesn't win in part 1 Emmys 2024, I think she'll definitely win in part 2 2024, even with Meryl there, because I think they'll be very gaga for the Bear. I think if she wins this year 24 part 1, then Meryl definitely wins. That would be my take.
I mean, she could just win both of them too.
I mean, I guess she could.
They also like back-to-back champs in this category. Sorry to Hannah, who couldn't do it last year. But
the problem with the Bear, with the Only Murders, I guess, is like we've talked about, it's always a solid show, good for safe bet for nominations, and not a lot of wins.
But that, again, that could change next year when everything clears out. So it's like that's been, I mean, it's only performed under 1 Emmys. That was last year, and it was never winning series. It wasn't going to win anything above the line, really. Like its best chances were below the line, and it won 3 awards, and it won guest actor for Nathan. So but yeah,
I got one here, just not about Emmys or this year's Oscars race, but about our Oscars playback series. It's from our old friend Harold and Maude. Just want to read this one because it was just to plug Oscars Playback. Hi, Joyce and Chris. This time I have a question about Oscars Playback, which we finished. We did the 2010 Oscars. Is there a past Oscars year that you particularly like that you haven't gone over? My favorite is certainly 1973 with Tatum O'Neal as an all-time winner, in my opinion. I actually thought about this, and I think my favorite would be the 75 Oscars, which is when Godfather Part 2 won. But this is the list of nominees. It's Godfather Part 2, Chinatown, The Conversation, Lenny, and The Towering Inferno.
So you like that because of the nominees, not necessarily because of like the ceremony itself.
Yeah.
I guess that's what I'm wondering. Like, am I picking something based on like winners and nominees, or like the actual ceremony?
I'm picking winners and nominees because I have to say we could always I'm sure we'll do this again next summer, Joyce. We'll probably come up with a way to do it again. But I have to say, like, I think the Oscar ceremonies don't really, for me, make an impact until like Billy shows up, and then from there forward, like the modern Oscar ceremony is much more entertaining as a show, and the past Oscar ceremonies I think are much more about the winners and the speeches. I think that Billy is like the dividing line.
So one ceremony I spent a lot of time with was 52 for the 51 films, because my like thesis paper in college was about A Streetcar Named Desire, the film. So I guess I'll just say that.
Okay.
It didn't win Best Picture. An American in Paris won Best Picture,
right,
but it won 3 acting Oscars.
Pretty crazy.
Not for Marlon Brando though. So
an incredible time to like movies, and now we're debating the merits of movies that are not as, I think, great. But this year I think it's pretty good. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Here's one from another email. Email us at slugfest@goldderby.com. You could still email about the Emmys, I guess. I mean, there's a chance we'd maybe read it, but not until December. I'm gonna lock them up.
But then, like, what if they feel outdated by then?
Yeah, I guess if you have a really good Emmy one, we can read it. But otherwise, just email us and slugfest about the Oscars, whatever. This one is from definitely not Patrick J. Adams. So I'm gonna guess this is a pseudonym choice. Not sure this is a real Patrick.
You know
Adams.
What? We kind of like make more burner accounts. I know, like, they're kind of a hassle.
But yeah, you could maybe do it. You could leave the email address and change the display name, and then I'm not reading email addresses, so it doesn't matter. Suits is obviously the show of the summer, and it's a ton of fun. Why did the Emmys ignore it when it was on? We have multiple Suits questions here, Joyce. So,
well, not to brag, but I covered Suits at my previous job.
Okay,
I was on the Suits beat.
Yes. How was that for you?
I greatly enjoyed it. I loved Suits, and it's like such an easy show to cover because it's so low stakes.
Right.
Like, we need, you know why Suits was successful on Netflix only with 8 seasons? It doesn't even have the full series. Like, you have to watch season 9 on Peacock, that's my favorite part of this, their streaming numbers. But we need more like middle TV back. Well,
this actually goes to the next part of this question. Given the resurgence, do you think we took USA's Blue Sky era for granted?
We definitely did.
Gave us the types of shows that are now mostly missing from the TV landscape. Shows that are low stakes but fun and totally rewatchable, from Psych to Burn Notice to White Collar. It also technically gave us Political Animals, which was totally robbed at the Emmys. Sebastian Stan should have won an Emmy for that performance.
Facts, cosign, ditto, for sure. Instead, they went with Ellen Burstyn because she's Ellen Burstyn.
Yeah.
So, but I don't even think like what is even on USA right now? I don't think they have anything, like, because they basically just stopped do original programs. So I love the Blue Sky era because I also covered Covert Affairs. So that was my like Covert Affairs and Suits. So
it's funny to me that like we moved obviously like the world has completely changed and we've moved away from like classic movies, like the movies they used to make, and shows like this shit that we used to watch.
Yeah, like the 90s thrillers and stuff.
All this stuff. And then now the thing that cracks me up is that like all these platforms and distributors try to like recapture this stuff and can't do it. And I can't figure out why they are so try hard, but I'm thinking of like shows that Netflix put out this year, including like The Diplomat feels like a show that would have been a USA show.
Right. Yeah. Did I say that? to you when I was
I
like,
don't
it feels
remember,
like it would
but
have
I'm
been
sure
on
you
like
did.
ABC 10 p.m. Tuesdays 10 years
And
ago.
Night Agent would have been also.
Yes, same. I definitely said about Night Agent, but
And
like ABC or something.
none of they're not as good though. There's something
No,
about them
they're
that
not.
they
They're
miss.
not.
It's like looking at like it's like a blurry picture, like a blurry Picasso. That's what it feels like to me sometimes.
It's like, like in Multiplicity, you make a copy of a copy of a copy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It just feels like there's something off about these. And I could go through a bunch of movies too that I think are like harkening back to like the olden days that are just missing something about
Well,
what
like
makes those
last year, like I kind of felt that way about The Good Nurse. Like I enjoyed The Good Nurse, like very like B plus, but it kind of felt like it was trying to recapture that kind of like 90s like thriller type of
yes.
vibe.
And they just can't recapture it. There's something I can't figure out what it is. I don't know why. I just don't.
I feel like it doesn't seem like organic, like the
That's
way,
what it is.
like I think like it's like what you're saying, like they're trying to recapture it
Instead of just
and
doing it.
instead of just doing it. Like I think the Blue Sky era for USA, I mean, at a certain point it became calculated because it was successful, but when they were first just like when like Burn Notice and like In Plain Sight and like Psych first premiered, they weren't like setting out to be like we're gonna be a Blue Skies. That just became like a thing around like 2010 or whatever. And then like White Collar Covert Affairs, there was also Fairly Legal. Like these titles were just iconic. Necessary Roughness,
Great.
great stuff. And yeah, like I think like they just knew, and they knew how to hire the right people for that kind of aesthetic and that kind of like low stakes drama, like highly enjoyable. And they did that. The other thing is too, like they did a lot of episodes. Like they didn't do 22 like a broadcast network, but Suits did 16 episodes a season, and they would always split it. So like they would always premiere in the summer, the first half. So it'd be like 8 episodes. They always had a mid-season finale where something happens. And like I talked to Aaron Korsh so many times. And then they would always come back like January, February-ish, like, mid-season for the second half of that season.
Right.
So they had a lot of episodes, and now like TV shows are like 8 episodes long. Like you don't get to spend enough time with these characters.
I've been thinking about that a little with Winning Time, which I'm loving. Second season
7
is
episodes.
so good. It's only 7 episodes, and it's like the way they're telling the story, I think maybe warrants that because they're jumping through time pretty quickly and like kind of landing on specific like key elements that are happening. But at the same time, I was like, I mean, I would watch like 10 episodes of this. We're down to 7 for this. I understand it was probably a tough show to produce and like it's very expensive, I'm sure, with the cast and the basketball and all these, like it's a period piece. There's a lot of reasons probably it's 7 instead of like 9 or 10. But man, I was like, I wish I'd have more episodes.
Yeah, and I think you just kind of want like a show where you're not constantly having to be like on all the time and like paying attention and watching. I think that's the other thing. I think in a certain way, like prestige TV and like peak TV kind of ruined TV in general. It definitely ruined middle TV and like low stakes TV. Because now like everyone's just doing like 10 episodes or fewer, whatever, right? Like even Sopranos had 13 episodes a season, but like because you have such fewer episodes, it needs to be plot heavy and really concise and tight. And then like the errors, so to speak, are more glaring. Whereas like when you have 22 episodes a season, highly enjoyable. Like there are going to be some flops every now and then, but like you don't really care because you these characters and you get to spend time with them. And and like from like a behind the scenes perspective, that's also great, with the strikes. It's like that's a great way to develop writers too. Like you just give an assignment to like, a writing assistant. It's like, hey, like break this episode, like you want to take a stab at this, like, or like ask people come in with like crazy ideas, pitch some crazy ideas, because we have 22 episodes a season and maybe like 10 to 15 of them will actually like deal with the overarching plot, but these other ones we're just gonna have some fun and like a blast.
Right.
And I think those are the type of episodes, if you look back on these, like 22 episode seasons of shows, like those like crazy episodes, experimental episodes, like people remember those to become like cult favorites over the years, know.
Yeah. Here's one from Sophie. This is actually relevant to our conversation earlier. After the Golden Globes and SAG Awards earlier this year, it looks like Jeremy Allen White was the one to beat. When he didn't win the TCA award, though, it got me thinking, is it possible that Jeremy Allen White isn't as strong as some might think and that Jason Sudeikis might pull off a three-peat for Ted Lasso? Sophie, I'm thinking of going here. I really am.
Because he lost the TCA award?
Not because he lost the TCA award, but I'm just like, man, Jeremy Allen White is great on The Bear, obviously. It goes without saying. They've never competed against each other, though, in like when he won those awards at the Globes and the SAGs. And like we're saying, I kind of keep going back to like what we're saying about like the Bear versus Ted as series. Like there's really no reason for them to go off Ted for series, right? They still love Ted. And why would they go off Jason then? I mean, is Jeremy that much? I think maybe yes, but is Jeremy that much better or that much of an undeniable winner compared to Jason for what might be the final time he's playing Ted Lasso? And if you watch the show, no matter what happens for future seasons, it's clear Jason is not going to be a major character on those future seasons. So I just think that maybe
then
he
can win a
wins.
guest Emmy in the future.
I mean, maybe he can win against Emmy, but I really do think he could win. I think it's much close. At least I think it's much closer than like people have made it seem like, including me.
Are you going to switch to Jason right now?
I kind of think I might. I'm going to do it. I'm going to go into this cliffhanger. Maybe this is the cliffhanger.
You're going to leave this up for 4 months.
I'm going to go into Jason in first. I don't understand why he would lose. The argument would be that Jeremy's amazing on The Bear and that he should win and that he's going to win at the Golden Globes probably and the SAG Awards this year.
So I will just say that, Jason also didn't win the TCA award 2 years ago for Ted's first season. He lost and he won the Emmy. But he was always winning the Emmy that year. He lost TCA to Gene Smart,
right?
Hacks that year, and I'm not surprised that Jeremy didn't win TCA. I think he lost the same way that Jason lost 2 years ago because Aya was nominated alongside him and Hannah was nominated alongside Jason 2 years ago. So then and then I think we talked about this last month with the winners, like Natasha Lyonne won this year for Poker Face, and like TCA loves Natasha Lyonne. Russian Doll won.
I'm not ready to make Natasha Lyonne win. I'm not banking it all on TCA.
But like I don't think like that has any bearing on the Emmys.
Okay.
Regardless of whether Jeremy wins the Emmy or not. But I think like it can just be like Mayor of Easttown versus the Queen's Gambit. Like they're like the Bear could legitimately win 3 acting Emmys just like Mayor did and not win the series.
I've had that, I think, in the beginning when the nominations first broke. We did our first prediction. I think I had Jeremy, Io, and Eben. But now I don't have it winning. Maybe any then acting nominate winners, which also I have Io winning, I guess, which also feels like a little weird.
I think that can happen. Yeah. Like it wins 3 acting Emmys, but it doesn't win the big one because Ted, like Queen's Gambit, is just the bigger show overall, and so, and I think like Ted could win. I have Ted winning the combo that Queens won on the main show, which is series and directing.
Right.
So hopefully Declan Lowney does not give a speech like Scott Frank did. So
what an iconic speech.
Yeah. So yeah. I don't think like I wouldn't be surprised if Jason won, but I don't think like Ted needs to win a regular acting category for Ted to win series or like vice versa or whatever.
I agree with that, and I'm gonna have if I switch back in January when we come back for our mid-season premiere. I don't think it needs to win an acting award, Ted, to win series. I think it would win series no matter what. But I feel like it might be another Jason win just because why wouldn't it be another Jason win? I don't know. I mean, like, there's really no reason for them to go off him, basically.
It also feels like because, like, they have not given series to a dramatic show before, a comedy series to a more dramatic show before, like The Bear. But, like, they have no problem giving, like, the acting awards to these two.
That's true.
Like, that's what, like, they did to Atlanta and Barry,
Right.
So it feels like that could happen here. And yeah, but, like, they've never faced off before, so anything can happen.
Slugfest at goldderby.com. Another one here from Pam. Pam writes, Dear Joyce and Chris, I hate that we have to wait until next year to find out who won the Emmys. Wouldn't it just be better and easier to announce the winners via press release this fall and let us move on with the rest of award season rather than holding an award ceremony in January when those same folks will likely be winning awards for subsequent seasons of their shows? Pam, we're on the right side of history here. That's absolutely right.
Give me a press release. Yeah. Yeah.
There's nothing sillier to me than like having these winners be sandwiched in between next season's winners. It makes no sense. Truly makes no sense.
Yeah, I've give me a press release. You could do a press conference like the Globes.
I mean, they could do like an actual event. They could do a televised event. They could, if they want to do the Emmys in January and have like a show where you, like we've talked about, celebrating the history of the Emmys and doing speeches with the actors who are going to attend and blah, blah, blah. They could still do that and still like now or like in October do a televised like hour-long special that in essence is like winners via press release, but it's like, hey, we're going to do a clip show and like here's who wins, and we'll let you know, we'll see their speeches, come back in 3 months to watch their speeches or something. Like there's no reason to hold the winners. You could still have an event. I don't necessarily think people are watching. First of all,
no, they're watching like casuals are watching for the gowns. Like
right. A lot of these categories are pretty predictable. And certainly if you're casual, you're already thinking you already know who won. So it's not like you're watching for like the tension or like drama of who's going to win. You're watching for like the pomp and circumstance. So you could still have that knowing the winners.
And then there are some actors you do want to hear a speech from. Yeah. So like that's what you're looking for too.
Let's say they gave out the winners and they told us that like Ted Lasso wins for its final season with Jason Sudeikis, and Succession wins for its final season, and Kieran wins, and all Ray wins for Better Call Saul, and then we're going to do a show in January where we'll have like all the celebrities come and like celebrate each other. We could do, instead of announcing the winners, you could do like the acting categories, like give a little tribute to all the nominees, and then be like, and here's Kieran with his speech. Like, wouldn't people want to watch that? And wouldn't you still watch it? You didn't need to know that it was like who's going to win. You already know who won. I don't know.
Yeah, like I think like if you're a fan, you would still watch it. And it's like, well, like how, some of these like critics awards, like New York, like and LA, like they announce their winners, like NBR and everything, they announce their winners in December and then they have their dinner in January.
It's really great. And they do like tributes to those winners. And there's a way to do it that I think is really compelling. I think the idea that to live televised award shows need to have some modicum of like suspense, like it's live sports, is an outdated.
It's like it's not suspenseful at all. No,
it's kind of
like
an outdated
that's why sports is exciting, because you literally don't know what's going to happen next. Like anything can happen. Whereas like with this, it's like voting is done, and like there are some people who know who the winners are. Like there's nothing to do between now and January 15th that will change the result.
Already kind of know what you know what I mean? I just think it's like, I think it's a silly way to think about it. Doing this, you could still do. I don't think. I guess my other thing, I'm not a TV producer, but I really think they could hire us for this, Joyce, you and I, for the Emmys. I think we would do a great job. I'll just say, like, I don't think your ratings are going to be majorly. If the winners were known, I don't think people would be less likely to watch than they are with winners unknown. I don't think maybe there's like a small amount of people who'd be like, I'm not going to watch it. But if you're predisposed to watching an award show, you're going to watch it whether you know the winners or not.
Yeah. No, it's just like the Oscars and trying to like drag in people who don't care about the Oscars when you're not catering to your core audience. Like the people who care will watch it regardless of like whatever you're going to put on.
Yeah.
Like you're not going to get 50 million people to watch it. And like, again, you're putting this on Martin Luther King Day.
It's pretty
opposite like a wild card game, basically. Oh, yeah. And it's like super delayed, really, for no reason. Like I know, like because of the strikes, but really, like you could still have had the Emmys next week. Like you can still announce the winners next week.
It's just a really weird. I think it's like, of all the possible decisions they could have made, this is the one that I think is like the least successful decision.
It's also so like, remember in 2020, the Pandemies, which was a very great successful show. A lot of like the pandemic award shows that came after that, not as successful.
No, that was a great one.
Yeah, but like, and they were basically the first ones too, and I was like obviously all virtual, Zoom, and then but like for the creative arts, I thought like what they did that year was really great, because they basically did it like they streamed it on YouTube basically 5 nights. And like they had to have all the nominees send in pre-recorded speeches because there's just so many categories, and then then they played the speech for the winner. So it's like I don't think they wouldn't do that now, but like that was like a way, that was like their workaround to it. It's like, sorry that you have to give a speech for an award that you might not win, but like this is like what we have to do right now. So yeah, like there's really no reason, they don't need to delay this until January.
No.
And then also it's like, if the strikes aren't over, like what, you're gonna like move it even further? Like, come on.
Got 2 emails left here, Joyce. These are from the real fans, I would say. Joyce, this one's from Cheryl. Joyce, I know you love tennis. What are your thoughts about this crap between Disney and Charter that has kept me from being able to watch the US Open? Joyce, I got to say, I have very little awareness of what Cheryl's talking about here.
But you know about the Spectrum blackout.
Yes.
Yeah. So Spectrum / Charter and Disney are in a beef. So on August 31st, promptly at 8 p.m., right at kickoff time for college football, like all the ABC owned like Disney networks blacked out. So yeah, and it's still blacked out right now because they don't have a deal. So if you have Spectrum, you basically can't watch. Like people missed the games this weekend in college football. Great timing, really. And obviously US Open is still going on. And like there's also like FX and stuff, which I think people don't care as much about, especially when shows are on Hulu the next day.
Right.
So you have to find alternative means to watch ESPN, which is that ESPN is basically what everyone is very, very mad about. I was too, because I also have Spectrum. But my parents have Verizon, so I used their login. So I've been able to watch. So I'm fine. But I know some people have like subscribed to YouTube TV and Sling and like all this stuff. One of my tennis Twitter friends, like she was like, someone remind me to like unsubscribe from like YouTube TV after the US Open is over. Because like I have like my 6-day trial or whatever. But yeah, it sucks. And I was like saying to my friend, I was like, why didn't this happen like a month ago when nothing was going on?
Probably for this exact reason, right?
So yeah. But if you're screwed, basically, if you're not willing to find another means to watch, to get these channels. But yeah, but like the funny thing is, like Daniil Medvedev the other day, he was saying, because like in his hotel they have Spectrum, so he doesn't have ESPN either. So he was like, I want to watch the Francis Tiafoe and Ben Shelton match that was last night. He was like, I want to watch it, but like my hotel has Spectrum, so I don't have ESPN anymore. So I guess I'm gonna have to like find like a pirate website. But then like last night, someone in the Financial Times, I think they said that Disney was giving like login codes to their app to all like all the players that US Open who wants one. And then they said like, so John McEnroe last week, he was out because he had COVID. He came back, I think, on Monday. But it said in the story that like he was furious last week when the blackout happened because he was like, I need to log in because I can't watch these matches. So they gave him a login too. I was like,
that's awesome.
Classic, of course, J-Mac. So, but yeah, thank you for your concern, Cheryl.
Good job, Cheryl. Joyce, did you like the US Open? You had fun? You don't have to talk
about it. Of course.
Yeah.
I go every year, as you know.
Yeah.
So a great time. And yeah, I didn't get that sunburn, but like a little sunburn this time. So
and this one, another one for the real fans. This one's from Joe to me. It's about movies, Joyce, but I'll let it slide because I just think it's funny. Are we in for another, Joe writes, hi Chris, are we in for another award season during which people obsess over Austin Butler thanks to the bike riders? Follow-up, Chris, what are your thoughts on that movie overall? And is Tom Hardy actually intelligible for once, or is he forever the mumble king? Joe coming in hot. Joyce, I saw the bike riders. I tell you,
I know you saw the bike riders.
You could follow me on Letterboxd to see my thoughts on all these movies. Tom Hardy and the bike riders sounds like, Tom Hardy and the bike riders sounds like Marlon Brando, but on helium, maybe? He's got like a high-pitched voice. It's actually hard to do. I don't think I could do it.
But is he intelligible?
No, I would say no. But he's great. I love Tom Hardy. And then Austin is not doing Elvis, but he definitely has a baritone. So I'm not sure if that's because his vocal cords are fried now forever or whatever, but he has a pretty deep voice. And Jodie Comer is doing like Karen Hill by way of like Mike Ditka. The Bears. What a fun fucking movie.
I mean, she's great with accents.
She's great. She was so good. It's really fun. It's a very watchable movie. It's a little violent, but like in the way Goodfellas is violent. You know what I mean? Like it's not like gory
Goodfellas is
violent.
not violent to me, really.
I don't think so either, but I think some people would be shocked. There were definitely a couple of scenes where I was like, oh, like winced, like kind of like, oh shit, like that was like pretty a severe beating there. But I had a real fun time with it. I think it's like really watchable. I don't know if it's gonna be an awards caliber movie, but it's definitely a movie I'll watch like a million times once it's on like whatever.
Yeah, I
HBO
like
Max,
Jeff
I guess.
Nichols. But are you predicting any of them? Are you predicting Jodie?
I didn't predict anybody. Jodie, I'm not sure if she was going to be lead. I think she is, right?
It sounds like, based on reactions, that she's a borderline case, but she's like the framing device.
It would be a pretty severe fraud if they put her in supporting.
Yeah.
But if she went in supporting, I think she'd have a better shot of being nominated because it's like kind of like a character.
That's actresses
flashy.
Yeah.
And Tom and Michael Shannon. Tom is definitely like a major like factor in the movie, but I don't think he would get nominated. And Austin is just like, it's just like a movie, like it's like a Brad Pitt 90s performance where it's like he's not going to get nominated, but he's good, you know.
It cracked me up how a lot of the reactions were just like, wow, he was so fucking hot.
I mean, he's pretty hot in general.
But I'm just like, yeah,
I guess.
Like is this like a surprise or something?
Not a surprise. I'm trying to think who else. Is a lot of that guy's in it. Like Emery Cohen is in it. Remember him?
There's a lot of people in it. Yeah, it's a large cast.
Michael Shannon has a small part. Like, yeah, a lot of guys. Just a lot of guys. Like you'll see like those guys. It's like they're a bunch of guys. Boyd Holbrook is great. Yeah, we'll talk about all these Telluride movies and like in general. Just I'll say one thing: Bike Riders, and another one that I really loved was Saltburn. We don't need to get into that discourse already or anything, but I will say both Bike Riders and Saltburn. One of the critiques I heard from people at Telluride was like, "Yeah, but what's it trying to say?" And to me, I was just like, who gives a shit? It's so fucking entertaining. Like sometimes it could just be a good, I don't need my movie.
Why does it have to say anything?
I don't know. And I think a lot of times
this is like Suits. Like, why does it have to say anything?
I was like, I get the sense when you're at a film festival, and certainly like with award season, and we think about this with awards in general, the movies have to be more than just what they're about.
And
right?
be like elevated.
They have to be saying something about the culture or the discourse or the moment, and they have to be like filmmakers like doing something. And on the way home from Telluride, I watched The Departed, our favorite movie. And I was just like, this is a movie that Scorsese has nothing really to say other than everyone is going to die. So fuck it. Let's just burn it all down. Basically, that's like the theme of the movie. And it fucking rules. It's the most, it is so entertaining. Even on Airplane, I was like riveted and laughing my ass off, but probably like De Niro and Cape Fear, while people are like, why is this guy watching a incredibly violent?
Isn't it funny? Like we kind of like want that like messaging, so to speak, with the Oscars, but like you don't really talk about it with the Emmys.
Never with the Emmys, isn't it? It is funny. And if we think about, we just did like the 2000s, a lot of these great winners from the 2000s where we were like, No Country for Old Men, I think is like this also, that has something to say, but in the real, and it is just a great thriller, right? Like there is like, same with The Departed, where it's like, there's a slight message there, but it's just a really watchable thriller.
Yeah. And like Slumdog too. Like that's just like,
exactly. It's just like a well-made like story engine. And I feel like with Saltburn and Bike Riders, for me, those were just like great watchable movies that I think were getting dinged on the ground, at least, for not being about more than what they're about, which to me, I was just like, I love what they're about. They're just like a lot of fun.
Well, you obviously like Saltburn because it's like Gossip Girl.
I did sweet.
Why did Gossip Girl get no Emmy love? It's another Suits.
Absolutely should have gotten Emmy love. I think I can make a case for like season 1 Blair, what's her face, Leighton Meester, and Ed Westwick. I could make a case for her as well. But yeah, these shows.
I'll also just like shout out PJ Patrick J. Adams, definitely not Patrick J. Adams. Got a SAG nomination for the first season. So I mean, USA shows, not to double back on this.
No,
like,
do it.
They were getting like some awards love, like Piper Perabo and Callie Thorne got nominations from the Globes, and Sharon Gless got an Emmy nomination for Burn Notice, but she's Sharon Gless. So, but like no one else was able to break through. at the Emmys because they're just not like elite enough for the Emmys, these shows.
I also get the sense, and I think this also doubles back to what we were talking about from that same, not Patrick J. Adams, about like why these shows don't exist, right? Or whatever. And like kind of, I think for whatever reason, the industry is like kind of bifurcated. Like the reason there's no middle is because everything is either giant blockbuster show or movie, right? That's just like superhero IP or whatever IP, and like people don't watch anything they don't know about, or it's got to chase awards and then also be about something else because like there's the whole that we're part of, like an awards industrial complex that like supports like these movies even existing. And then when you have those are the only two fields, like stuff that's just good gets like kind of lost, either not made at all or is just
totally like the
ignored.
mid-budget adult drama, like in film, and then now TV is just like low stakes, like broadcast type of TV.
And that's almost like it's or a Burroughs type thing because like we're saying, like my sense from Telluride, and you could just maybe you'll see these and you might not like them either, or maybe like people will not respond to Bike Riders or Saltburn, and certainly they might not. But to me, I was like, that was the thing that people were bucking up against is that like they weren't like Zone of Interest in Anatomy of a Fall or like All of Us Strangers or Poor Things, even though it's very funny. But they're also not like Barbie or Oppenheimer. So they're just movies that are good or shows that we're saying that are good shows that like don't really have anywhere to go. And then people are kind of dismissing them out of hand. And I'm like, well, that's why they don't make these things is because people don't want to take them seriously, even if they're really good.
Yeah. And then like the other, it's like they can make them, but then it's like they want to like chase awards too. Like the other thing, like you could have like successful, like big mainstream stuff that does not win awards, right? But then you want to go like prestige to win awards. And that was also kind of why Blue Sky went away for USA because they did Mr. Robot.
Right.
And that really changed everything. And like that was like a big deal back then when they like basically announced that they were gonna eradicate Blue Sky.
Right. It was. I mean,
and
like
they were trying to do like more dramatic stuff and it didn't really
right.
work out for them. And now they have like no original programming.
Yeah.
So.
It's a weird time in the industry. And anyway, Bike Riders is good. Just as we're recording this on Wednesday, what day is the day?
Yes,
Wednesday?
Wednesday.
All right. See, the Bike Riders trailer just came out. I can't wait to go watch it and see how it matches up to what the movie is like.
I love trailers and just like even watching a trailer after I've seen a movie or like, vice versa, and seeing like the angle they're taking and the cut of the trailer to try to appeal to different groups. Like when the Killers of the Flower Moon, the initial trailer was like super dramatic prestige, but then the second one was like appealing to mainstream and like actiony,
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like that too. I can't wait to see Killers of the Flower Moon again. I'll say that as well. I will watch it again. That's it, I guess, Joyce. I think that was the last email. Let me look here. Check the inbox. Oh, here's one more I got. This is just a basic one. We can do this for fun. This is from Jen. Jen writes, we were just talking about this. The fall TV season looks pretty bleak because of the ongoing strikes. This is not a complaint about the strikes. What are you going to plan on watching this fall?
Well, you're already watching the morning show.
Yeah, I'm definitely watching that. I don't really know. There's not a lot I'm really excited about, let's say.
Yeah, same, really. You watched Lessons in Chemistry already, right? I was going to start that and then I didn't.
We watched a few of them, not all of them, and never gone back to it. So
yeah, this fall, like I don't watch American Horror Story, and that's premiering in like 2 weeks.
Yeah,
basically, and I have to catch up to Minx, but that's like the summer. It premiered in July.
So, yeah, it was like, I mean, I'm looking forward to like the end of Only Murders and the end of Winning Time, but those will be ending here soon, so they don't really count.
Yeah. I mean, maybe Julia. I like season 1 of Julia.
It was
but
okay.
It's not like my favorite show or anything. Yeah. It's kind of like I wouldn't say it's like middle TV, like we were saying, but it's like that's kind of like how I watch it as.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't really watch The Gilded Age. I know a lot of people are excited about that, but I'm very excited for Carrie Coon's tweets.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't watch that one either. I don't know. There's not a lot. I'm thinking about like maybe some HBO shows. Who knows?
There's Fargo season 5, but I haven't watched since like season 2, really.
Same But I was like, I might come back because I love John Hamm.
I want him, you know what? Like, yeah, like John Hamm needs to do more comedy, but like the thing Fargo, the thing that makes me want to watch Fargo every year is when I read the log line and I see the names, because Fargo has the best names always.
Great names.
Yeah. So
Joyce, I don't know. Do we have a cliffhanger to end on? What do you want to end on here as we go out?
I don't know. Like, we
What
don't
would
know
be-
what fall TV shows we're gonna watch.
We don't know if all TV shows are watch, and I'm gonna say, I don't know. I already made all my changes. I have no cliffhangers, so we're not gonna
You're already
say,
on Jason Sudeikis.
let's go, DC Nash. Bets, let's go.
How many did you change in the past hour?
Well, just those
Just those
two,
two.
and yeah, just those two, I think.
How about we take bets on how many we will change in January?
Okay. I'm gonna say, how we do an over under in the primetime category. So that's like 25, right? Is that when we would predict, I think?
Well, in here, I don't even know how many is in here.
Let me see. 3, 6, 9, 12. 1, 4,
Can you do math?
26. It's 26. Out of these 26 in the primetime categories, I'm going to say over under on 3 changes.
For you?
Yeah. Do you want the over or the under for each of us? I'll take
For each of us?
So I'm going to take the over. I would take the over for me.
I would take the under for me.
For you. Yeah. So I guess we'll see. If we pay off. I'll remember this. We'll write it down. Yeah.
And then creative arts, I don't even know.
I don't know how many
I might make
categories
more
there are.
changes to that one, but I don't even know.
I think I would too.
You know what? Like, I might change more in primetime depending on what happens at creative arts.
True. That's another thing we don't know.
Yeah.
So we'll come back. I guess so. We'll come back, like you said, maybe that first week in January to do these. Come back again. And until then, talk about the Oscars. Wow. Can't wait. What a great decision. Can't wait for the 2023-24 Emmys. It's gonna be wonderful.
Part one.
Part 1.
On Martin Luther King Day. So
Chris, this was so much fun. I'll talk to you next week. Bye.